Today I'm going to share a counterintuitive way to scale your coaching, consulting, or high-ticket offer to over $100,000 a month in sales. And this is actually the strategy that I originally took when I hit my first $100,000 month, and it's very different than what a lot of people say to do. And I actually want to share this with you because I don't really see anyone talking about it, but this worked for me and it's worked for many of our clients too. So let me take you back to March 30th, 2019. I had grown my YouTube ads, consulting, and coaching company to $60,000 to $80,000 a month, and I was looking to cross over and hit my first $100,000 month. And one thing that I realized is, as the CEO and also doing a lot of fulfillment, being a kind of a small team at the time, there was a lot on my plate, and I didn't have the bandwidth to take a large number of calls. So what a lot of people were saying and a lot of people were doing is they were saying, hey, go and hire a new salesperson or go hire somebody to kind of come in and do your sales. But I had seen a lot of people do that and then run into some problems if their salespeople couldn't close. Maybe that sounds a little bit familiar to you. And since then, I've seen a lot of clients go through some of those challenges. They get a lot of leads coming in, especially when we help them with YouTube ads. But then when they're looking to cross over that next revenue threshold, the first thing that they do, and what a lot of people say, is okay, go and hire that salesperson. Ultimately, that is what you want to do, and you want to delegate certain things. But one thing that I knew at that time was I was concerned about potentially going backwards. I wanted to cross that threshold, wanted to lock it in, and then build the team around me, and that's ultimately what I did. And so what I saw at that point in time was a counterintuitive approach that I could take. I knew in order to get to over $100,000 a month at my business at the time, I needed 12 clients. I had, roughly a $9,800 offer, and I needed to cross over that threshold at that time. And so what I did is I mapped out on this whiteboard what would be needed with our current stats and current metrics. And this is a real screenshot from the whiteboard as I was mapping all of this out. As you can see here, the goal in Q2 was to have a $108,000 month. So one back-end sale at $15,000, and then 12 $7,800 sales that would bring in $93,000. And on the current model for those 12 sales, we would need to do 60 calls at a 20% close rate. To do that, we would need 100 applications with a 40% cancel rate. And currently at that time frame, we were getting around $150 applications. We had 13% of our leads apply. We were spending about $15,000 a month in ad spend. If we canceled 40%, which is roughly what we were doing at that time, that would be left with 60 calls, and we would enroll at a 20% close rate. But what I knew is it was hard for me to take 60 calls in a month with all the things I was doing. Again, it's a smaller show at the time. We didn't have 30 plus team members like we do today. And so at that time, it was me and a few other people, and we were all working really hard, servicing our clients, getting great results, building up. And so I didn't have the bandwidth to take those 60 calls necessary. So I thought about it for a second, and of course, what a lot of people do in this scenario is they hire a salesperson. The salesperson comes in, but the problem is if they can't close as well as you, which usually is the case, then you could actually go backwards a little bit. And I knew that I could do this myself, but there was one counterintuitive idea that I decided to take. And what that was to hyper vet the calls and actually cancel far more calls and only take them with the cream of the crop. Now, this isn't something I recommend necessarily long-term, and I'm actually gonna get into this, what you should do with a salesperson and how that fits into this model. But let me show you what's next. So you can see I actually mapped out another method here where for that same $15,000 a month of ad spend, we get those $150 apps, we get 100 applications, but instead of canceling 40%, which is what we would normally do, right? Cancel the 40% lower quality apps. What we would do instead would be to cancel 65% of the applications. We would go exclusive. We would use a Harvard strategy. You know what Harvard does? They go out, they send mailers, they send people, hey, go apply, go apply, go apply. And then, they do a huge push to get people to apply, and then they cancel and they deny 90+% of the people that go and apply to Harvard, and then they only accept the people that they want. So they try to get as many people to apply as possible, and then they accept the cream of the crop. And that's exactly what we're talking about here, is going and taking calls with the cream of the crop so I can take less calls and I can focus on enrolling them at a higher percentage. So you can see here, 35 calls at a 34% close rate would bring that same 12 sales per month. And that's exactly what I did. I hit my first $100,000 month. It's actually $114,000 in May, just actually a little over a month after doing this. So this was March 30th in 2019. We had April, where we did a little over 80,000, and then we did 114,000 in that May of 2019. That was my first $100,000 month. I remember being so excited about diving in and getting that. What I did from there is what I'd also encourage you to do, which is I actually brought in salespeople to take those lower quality leads. This is another thing that's counterintuitive that I recommend that not a lot of people talk about. Most people say, hey, give the easier sales to your sales team. But what happens if they mess those up? What you should do is take the best sales yourself, the highest quality people yourself, so you ensure that it doesn't get messed up. You have a higher degree of enrollment rate, and then I can take those other 65 applications and give them to a sales team member to squeeze as much juice out of those as possible and bring in as many clients from those additional applications as possible to prove themselves to earn the right to get the higher quality leads. Then I can focus on enrolling at a higher percentage, the highest quality calls, and my team can take the leftover calls, get as many of those as possible, and then that helps them earn the right to eventually take over sales. Within probably about a year and a half of this point, I had already handed over all of my sales to my team, save a few very high level people. And so ultimately, the better way to actually scale to $100,000 a month and also to build a sales team is, if you're the one doing a lot of the sales calls yourself, is to actually vet those more, take the cream of the crop for yourself to ensure you bring in those deals, and then give the other calls to the rest of your team. So let's take a look again at this right here. You can see how the numbers break down. What does this look like in your business? What would it look like if you took the top third of the applications for yourself and then gave that middle third to your team and canceled the bottom third? What would that look like? Well, that could actually generate you a lot more revenue and reduce the challenge a lot of people have when they hire new salespeople, as their revenue is growing, and then they have a dip because those new people need to be trained up, and you give them your higher quality leads and they might not be able to enroll. They're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. So you can do it the hard way and ramp back up, or you can do it the easier way, consolidate the calls you're taking, take the cream of the crop for yourself, give the lower quality calls to a sales team member, and then have them earn the right to make their way up to get more of those higher caliber calls. And ultimately, you know, really the high ticket world, the coaching consulting world is the only place where this type of thing does not happen, right? In other sales organizations, that is what happens. You have to earn the right to climb the ranks and the ladders in terms of the lead scoring and the leads that you're ultimately getting. So that is something that I recommend if you're a coach, consultant, course creator, high ticket business owner that's selling over the phone or really Zoom these days. I would recommend that as you're making that transition, because it is a dangerous transition, especially when you implement something like our YouTube ad strategies to have just an influx of leads, influx of booked calls. I mean, it happens all the time. You can hire salespeople, and you should take the cream of the crop for yourself and then give the people, the middle ones to the team, and then the lowest quality, those, you know, you can cancel or downsell. And that is what I would recommend. That's the counterintuitive approach to scaling to $100,000 a month in your coaching consulting business and beyond. So let me know if you found this video valuable. Leave a comment down there below, like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to continue to get great content just like this. And if your challenge is leads, if you're not at this place, you're like, hey, I'd love to have this problem where I have so many leads coming in that, you know, I need to only take the cream of the crop. Well, you might need YouTube ads and our video marketing strategies. If that is the case, you can go down below to book a YouTube ad strategy call by going to adoutreach.com/apply. You'll have the link right there at the top of the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.